Alright, so you want to learn how to build a pale oak tree like this one in your survival or creative world. Well, you're in luck because that is exactly what we're going to do. I'm going to show you how to build two types of pale oak trees, starting off with this larger version, and then eventually this small version right here. It's kind of like a baby pale oak tree. Originally, I was going to just do a tutorial on that tree right there, but I thought if you're going to try to build maybe a forest of these custom trees, it might help to have a bigger version and a smaller version to mix them in to make it look a little bit more realistic. Because obviously in real life, in forests, you're going to have some younger trees, so it makes sense to have a couple variants. Before I begin with the tutorial, I just want to say that I took a little bit of inspiration from none other than the sapling itself. So if we look here in the pot, we have something that doesn't really look like the tree that Mojang gave us. I mean, if we just grow it here, it's just a dark oak tree retextured. That's all it is. It's boring, let's be honest. The reason I came up with this video idea itself is because I knew we could do better. So I think this looks a lot more interesting than whatever this is, and I think it's something that people would like to have in their worlds. That being said, I guess we can go ahead and get started. Let's begin with the base. You always want to start off with a wide base to your trees. You see here that I'm going with more of an organic design. This is because if you start off with something like this, I see a lot of players doing this, just making a square rectangular tree. It's going to look very blocky. It's not something you want to go for. You can start with this and work off of it if you want to do that. And that works just fine, but I tend to just start straight from the bottom and work my way up with a shape something like this. The bottom is something you can always work on later because you're always on the ground. So I don't really worry about it too much, but when I am building the base, I tend to leave a couple blocks like this down at the bottom, kind of like the roots spreading out, because trees do that in real life. They kind of spread out towards the bottom, so you want to try to do that as well. Something I should also mention while we're at the beginning, I'm currently using pale oak wood instead of the logs because the wood version has the texture on all 6 sides, so you don't get that strange white looking side sticking out in all angles. Kind of breaks the immersion of the tree. Just something I thought I should point out. Alright, when we get to about this point right here, I'm going to start branching off, literally, and making the branches. So let's just do something like this. We can always go back and fix it. But with the pale oak tree, it's going to be a very wide tree. You're not going to go up too high. It's going to have branches that spread out over a large area. Alright, so I've gotten all my branches. I'm pretty satisfied with how this looks so far. So I think we can move on and start with the leaves. So we're going to start here. I usually, when I do my leaves, I start from the top and work my way down. I think that's probably the easiest way to do this if you're working in survival, because you can kind of just use the branch to your advantage. Especially in Bedrock, because you can do stuff like this. And just place the leaves walking like that. Can't really do this in Java. That's like the one benefit we have. But yeah, once we get a shape like this, we can start to work our way down. I guess, again, if you're working in survival, you might want some scaffolding also for a project like this, because you're going to be up in the air. But luckily, I can just fly around and place blocks like this. You can see I'm kind of just spamming them around. Once in a while, I'll place 2 down. Let's actually do something like that right there. Maybe 1 right there. Once you do that for a while, you'll end up with this droopy shape, I guess you could say. Make sure when you're doing this not to have it too, like, I don't know, looking flat from the bottom. Kind of see how this doesn't look right. You don't want it to look flat, because most of the time, you're going to be looking at the tree from below. So when you're going under it, you You want it to look as interesting as possible, and having it droop like this does that pretty good, I think. When you're done with this, you're going to want to pretty much just replicate this shape on every single branch. So let me do that. Alright, now it's starting to look like a proper pale oak tree. I think these leaves came out pretty good. But yeah, now that that's done, we can finally move on to what I think is the fun part, the detailing. So what you're going to do is you're going to grab some pale hanging moss. These actually just come straight off the tree if you find a pale oak biome. And then also some pale moss carpet. It's pretty simple. You just go up and with the hanging moss, just place them right off the branches. Or leaves, I mean. I guess you could place them off the branches if you want. It also looks pretty good. This stuff kind of reminds me of Spanish moss in real life. I don't know if any of you guys have gone down in the southern United States, especially like Florida and maybe southern Georgia. You see this stuff all over the place. It's like in every single tree. I remember when I went to Disney for the first time and we were driving down the road and I started seeing this stuff and I'm like, what is that? Why do all the trees look dead? And my dad's just like, no, that's just Spanish moss. But yeah, once you're done with that, you can pick up your pale moss carpet and simply place it on the logs. And I actually like this a lot because it gives this effect that it's like the moss is growing up the tree. If you want, you can also bone meal them and it actually makes that moss grow even further. Alright, now that that's done, I think we can add the final detail. This is something that is optional. You don't really need to do this, but I think it does transition the tree better into the grass or the natural surroundings. So what I'm doing here is I'm taking some mycelium and I'm just placing it around the base of the tree. I just think that the texture of mycelium kind of matches well with the pale oak wood. So yeah, you can do something like this if you want. This is just an optional thing. If you don't have mycelium yet in your survival world, don't worry about it. It still looks good, but yeah, I think it's just a small detail. It adds a little bit. But yeah, that's the tree. I hope it turned out good for you guys in your world. I really like how this looks. Hopefully you guys do as well. But we're not done with the video just yet. We do have the baby pale oak tree. So why don't we plop one down right about here. Let's make a little baby tree. So for this one, this base is obviously going to be a lot smaller. But it's still going to have that same shape with it going up into the tree. So I just kind of gave it something like this. And then we're going to do some branches. You'll find that it's actually quite difficult to make these because the logs are honestly too big for a tree this size, but it's what we have to work with. I mean, you could use fences if you want, but I never use fences for smaller trees because I think they look kind of silly. I don't like how the fences don't actually connect to the leaves. So yeah, we're just going to use some pale oak logs. Alright, so I got something like this, and as you can probably imagine, we're just going to repeat the same process as before. Alright, and with that, it leaves you with something looking like this. And now I kind of regret making it so close to the big tree because it's kind of hard to see. But that is our little baby pale oak tree. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this tutorial. I hope these tips helped you out. If you have any questions with how to build these, you can always ask down below and I will be available to answer them. If you enjoyed this video and you want more like this, you can also hit me up with some recommendations. I would love to do some more build tip videos like this in the future as well. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.